Manchester City, they look fragile. They look broken. They look so beatable. And I cannot believe what we have just seen happen to them in the Champions League. Manchester City have just been beaten in Norway. They have just been beaten by Bodo Glimt. They have just been beaten by a town with a smaller population than the Etihad Stadium. I mean, this is a historic victory for Bodo Glimt. It is their first ever victory in the Champions League. And let us think about where they came from. Let's think about who Bodo Glimt actually are. They were in the second tier of Norwegian football 9 years ago. Their annual revenue is about the same as the 60-odd million quid that Manchester City just paid Bournemouth for Antoine Semenyo. They were in the second tier 9 years ago of Norwegian football. And they have just battered Manchester City. They have seriously battered them. They have never won a game in the Champions League, and they save their best ever moment for this. It's unbelievable that their debut victory comes against a prestigious manager like Pep Guardiola. They haven't even played a competitive fixture since the season ended in November. They only have 3 points from 6 games in the group before this, and yet they have somehow managed to overturn Manchester City. City looked bereft of fight, bereft of tenacity, bereft of spirit. They were fragile. They were easily beaten. They were broken. And Bodo Glimt were utterly dominant against Guardiola's men. Did you hear what I just said there, by the way? Bodo Glimt were utterly dominant against Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Pep Guardiola's men were well and truly beaten. It is undoubtedly the most seismic victory in Bodo Glimt's history. It was a joy to watch. But I don't think that we can overstate what this means. What this means for Man City. What this means for Guardiola. Dare I say it? What it means for Mikel Arteta. What it means for Arsenal's aspirations of winning the Premier League title. Because Manchester City are there for the taking. They are fragile. Can you believe what we are saying here? Rodri getting sent off. He looks all over the place. Man City look all over the place. And now, don't get me wrong. Man City fans will probably be saying, it doesn't really matter. We're in good place to qualify. We should be okay. We will get through to the round of 16. But let us not pretend that that was anything other than a catastrophe for Pep Guardiola. I mean, coming off the back of that woeful showing in the Manchester derby, possibly one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Manchester City. Possibly one of, I mean, it's the best result that Manchester United have had for 10 years. It's the best performance that Manchester United have had for 10 years. And it comes against Pep Guardiola's men. I mean, Guardiola has been at Man City for what? Nearly 10 years. And I honestly believe that the last 2 performances that we have seen from them in the last 3 days are the worst that it has ever been. It has never, ever been this bad for Man City under Guardiola. It has actually never been this bad for Guardiola anywhere. This is as bad as it has ever been for them. And we really need to start asking ourselves some serious conversations. We need to have some serious conversations about them. Because I think that we're kind of conditioned to believe that City are at some point going to be rampant. City are at some point going to be brilliant. City are at some point going to click into gear. They're going to win 7 games in a row. They're going to put Arsenal under major pressure. But I'm thinking that that isn't this City. This City are totally off the pace. I mean, Rodri being sent off in the way that he was, getting booked in the foolish way that he was, getting double booked within basically the space of a minute. And dare I say it, he looks a shadow of the player that he once did. You know, I'm constantly listening to Manchester City fans telling me that he is the best at what he does in the world. He is going to be the best at what he does in the world again. Even now he's back, he's playing really well. And it's because he doesn't have enough help in there. But he doesn't. He's not imposing. He's not terrifying in the way that he once was. And I appreciate that anterior cruciate rupture is about as damaging an injury as a footballer can have. And for that, I am so sympathetic. He was overplayed. He said that he was going to be overplayed. And when we saw it happen against Arsenal, I can remember it clear as day. It was horrible to witness. But he's just not looking like the player that he did. He really isn't. He's not even looking close to being back to the player that he once was. And it's an uncomfortable conversation, but it's true. And look, all over the pitch, City were bad. Not winning 50-50s. Being totally dominated. Being totally outfought. There was just nothing to them. And look, people will make excuses. They were telling me, they were missing 11 senior players for various reasons. Some injured, some ineligible, some suspended. And obviously that's true. But there shouldn't be a squad at Manchester City that doesn't go to Bodo Glimt and win the game. That's just how it should be. I'm not interested in the freezing conditions. I'm not interested in the artificial pitch. Like Queen's Park Rangers used to play on a plastic pitch and they used to get slapped. Like, it just shouldn't be this way. And yeah, you're going to tell me, you're going to start talking about the geography, I'm sure. Well, it was a game near the Arctic Circle. What do you expect? I just don't understand it. And you think Haaland was on the pitch. Erling Haaland. Apparently the most mesmerising centre-forward in the world. One of the best in Premier League history, people will tell me. Phil Foden. The guy, the what is he? The Stockport Iniesta or whatever they want to call him. And you're like, Phil Foden just doesn't do enough. He's happy being the other guy. But there needs to be a Kevin De Bruyne there. There needs to be Erling Haaland on ridiculous form. There needs to be someone else taking the game by the scruff of the neck, dragging City to victories. And Foden can then contribute. What he can't do is be the guy. Phil Foden should be picking Man City up off the floor. Phil Foden should be going to Old Trafford and demolishing Manchester United because the local boy Phil Foden says so. England should be winning tournaments because the local boy Phil Foden says so. And he's just not doing it. I think it's time again that we really need to have a conversation about Phil Foden. He's a good player. Really good player. Excellent player. Unbelievable record. But he's not the player that you think he is. Because if he was, Man City wouldn't have lost today because Phil Foden wouldn't have allowed it. And if people really want to compare Erling Haaland to the very best to have ever done it in the Premier League, you just can't do it. I mean, Erling Haaland is just not scoring enough goals. His record at the moment is not good enough. And basically, in a game where you have Erling Haaland on the pitch, Donnarumma on the pitch, Ryan Cherki on the pitch, Phil Foden on the pitch, against Bodo Glimt, you win the game. And look, they were good. But ultimately, they have to win the game. I mean, for Haaland, you're looking at 1 goal in 8 games. 1 goal in 8 games for the world's best, most prestigious, most ruthless centre-forward. Like, what's going on? And obviously, he would have had a point to prove going back to Norway, and yet didn't really turn up. This is his longest run without a goal from open play now since he was at Molde in 2018. And you think about what happened against Manchester United a few days ago. Like, that could have been so much worse, couldn't it? They should have been beaten 5-0 there. If the scoreline was a reflection of Manchester United's dominance, it finishes at least 4-0 to Manchester United. They had the ball in the back of the net 5 times. And yet, it's the same against Bodo Glimt. It's the same against Bodo Glimt. Donnarumma was Manchester City's best player. The keeper that conceded 3 was Manchester City's best player. And it's getting to the stage now where I don't know why people are constantly telling me that Arsenal are under any threat for the Premier League title. I want it to be the case. But Manchester City are not the team to do it. Manchester City are not a team that will terrify. Bodo Glimt. Like, do you know my memory of Bodo Glimt? Like, I remember Arsenal playing them, vaguely. And I remember they had a really big result against Roma when Mourinho was manager. And all the local kids, I remember all the little local kids were launching snowballs at Jose Mourinho. But that's the kind of thing that I remember them for. I remember them from that sort of thing. Like, didn't Tottenham beat them in the semi-final? Do you know what I mean? Tottenham. Ange Postecoglou beat them in the semi-final of a European competition last year. The worst Tottenham team. The Tottenham team that finished 17th beat Bodo Glimt. And somehow Bodo Glimt are now beating. Oh, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It really just doesn't make any sense to me. And this fragility that we are seeing from Man City, man, can only be good news for Arsenal. Like, this is the team that are trying to stop you winning a title. It's a team that didn't look up for a Manchester derby. Can you just appreciate what I'm saying here? When Arsenal played Tottenham, were they hungry? Did Arsenal want to win that game? Were Arsenal going for the jugular against their biggest rivals? Were Arsenal desperate to force Tottenham into the worst moment that they could possibly force them into and potentially get their manager the sack? Yes to all of the above. Man City went to Old Trafford for Michael Carrick's debut. Rolled the red carpet out for them. This isn't the team. This is a team that should be giving Arsenal confidence, not taking it away from them. Watching these results is a kind of result that should be inspiring Arsenal. Like, Arsenal are able to rotate massively against Inter Milan, and they're competing, right? Gabriel Jesus, bang, competing. Like, City miss a few players and they get done by Bodo Glimt. Like, that's the difference, isn't it? There is actually a chasm between Arsenal and Man City. And the only reason that people aren't acknowledging that there is a chasm is because of the history of Man City. They aren't actually looking at who Man City are today. They're looking at Guardiola, they're looking at Guardiola's record, they're thinking about the treble, they're thinking about the 4 in a row. If you just look at the Premier League table and you look at the Premier League teams of this year, and you look at it in totally in isolation, you look at it in a vacuum, Arsenal are going to run away with this league. Arsenal are going to win the league by 10 points. Because Manchester City are telling us that they are beatable. They are telling us that they are weak. They are telling us that they are fragile. And for some reason, lots of you aren't listening. They've been done by Bodo Glimt. Anyone that was denying this should be the awakening. This should be the moment where you go, yeah, do you know what? Arsenal are going to win this league at a canter. There just isn't the squad, there isn't the fight, there isn't the hunger, there isn't the tenacity, there isn't the spirit. It's a broken Man City team. I can't believe. Tonight's the night when two become what? No, tonight's the night when you have to just almost redefine who Man City are. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But it's possibly the most shocking result of the season. But absolutely baffling. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do me a favour. Please click subscribe. I'd love to welcome you into this community. Got loads of good videos coming out, trust me. So please do click subscribe. And also, I could be going live very soon. So make sure that you click subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and you'll be there. Be good fun. Ta-da.